Justin Fields would win the locker room and that Russell Wilson probably had some guarantees on starting or he wouldn't have come over. And it was going to get messy fast because Justin Fields is bigger, he's more athletic, he's more dynamic, he's got a bigger arm, and I think he's just more relatable as a young guy with a young locker room as the NFL continues to get young. Well, so Russell Wilson has a calf injury, doesn't play. Here is Justin Fields getting you about a touchdown a game, but they were 3-0 and could have been 4-0. So, and again, it doesn't always feel pretty with Justin Fields. He doesn't throw great from the pocket, but here's the thing. 65% completion percentage against Indy, 104 passer rating, threw for 312 yards. Yes, he can have it's not a perfect world. Okay, even the great ones. Andrew Luck came into the league, threw a ton of picks. Peyton Manning threw a ton of picks. If you're sitting around looking for perfect, you're not going to get it from quarterbacks. Even Mahomes every week has a terrible pick. So get over perfect. Justin Fields is young, athletic, dynamic, and if he keeps winning, he's not great from the pocket, always. But Russell Wilson isn't either. But at least with Justin Fields, his athletic ability can cover up some mistakes and get you out of trouble. In Chicago, none of it worked, right? In Pittsburgh, you know they have a good defense. You know they have stability. You know they have a Hall of Fame level coach. Now, Pittsburgh cannot figure out their offensive line. It remains an enigma. It's middle of the pack. It's better than it was 2 years ago. It's still not solved. I tend to think that defensive coaches struggle with O-line consistency. Offensive coaches are better with it. But I get, this is what we said, younger, more dynamic, more relatable. When Russell Wilson was young, didn't have a big brand, wasn't rich, he still didn't relate to Seattle's locker room that much. And how do I know that? Because they came out and dogged him when he left. It's like, that's not an opinion. That's what you see. So when Russell was relatable and young and not rich and didn't have a brand, he wasn't like the favorite player in the Seahawks locker room. Everybody likes Justin Fields and his personality. So you put this kid in, and neither Russ or Justin Fields are Mahomes from the pocket or Joe Burrow from the pocket. But Russell now, athletically, he can't overcome his limitations there with his athletic ability, and Justin Fields can often. And to me, that's why, if he's winning, I mean, I looked at the numbers this morning. 104 passer rating, 65%, 312 passing yards. He's moving the chains. And here's Mike Tomlin on Justin Fields' performance against the Colts.
I'm appreciative of the fight, but I'm not congratulating him for it. That's the business that we're in. Again, I appreciate his fight, but he and we were a little bit sloppy at times, too sloppy to comfortably secure victory.
So Adam Schefter reports, and again, Justin Fields can be sloppy. He'll give you one or two moments in the game, you're wincing. You're like, he's not going to be Jared Goff. If you protect Jared Goff, it's 18 for 18. It looks beautiful. It's pretty. The ball comes out. Justin Fields, you're going to get some stuff that just bursts through the ceiling, but the floor can be really, really low. With Jared Goff, the floor is high, the ceiling a bit lower, but you know what you're getting. You don't know with Justin Fields. But he's putting up the numbers. He's got a legit OC. They're winning games. They could have been 4-0. And Adam Schefter reported, he said, if Russell Wilson, I trust Schefter, if Russell Wilson is not playing on Sunday night, that would tell you that for the time being, he has wrestled away the starting quarterback job from Russell Wilson. So you can see this thing coming from miles away, and here we are, and here's J-Mac with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
To follow that up, Mike Tomlin 10 minutes ago was asked if he's preparing for Justin Fields to start Sunday, and he said, yes, I am. So it sounds like it's going to be Fields from here on out.
So Schefter saying that means it's his team now.
Yeah. So the producers we were just talking about, we're going to get to Cowboys in a second here. Cowboys-Steelers is a really interesting game.
Oh, it's
You know who the Cowboys have after that too, right? Detroit. Rematch from last year, that game that Detroit
what's happening to teams like the Jets and the Cowboys, we looked at their early schedule and we thought, okay, that's a tough one. That's a layup. That's a layup. That's a layup. That's a tough one. When you start losing the layups, or like Dallas, you get blown out by New Orleans, you're like, let's recalibrate. Yeah. Or when you get beat by Denver and Bo Nix, who throws for 60 yards, you have to recalibrate. So right now we've got very few what we consider great teams. Minnesota looks incredible. We know Kansas City's really good. Yep. And then there's a handful of really bad teams. But you start getting into that Dallas Jets thing. Are we sure they're a good team?
There's no elite teams right now. That's why there's been one double-digit spread all season. Nobody's pulled away. Yeah, I'm sorry, the Chiefs are not great, Colin. We'll get to them shortly. But let's start with Dallas and Micah Parsons. He's never missed a game due to injury in his career, but that streak is in jeopardy. Except for the high ankle sprain Thursday, he was in a walking boot and using a scooter at the team facility yesterday. We know the Cowboys will be without DeMarcus Lawrence for 4 to 8 weeks with the Liz Frank injury. Parsons has not been ruled out yet, but here's how bad he wants to be there. I figured myself invincible for a while. When you are a real competitor, you only get 17 chances at this, and missing one of these opportunities to perform at the highest level bothers me. I feel like I want to play on Sunday. I want to play. If I can't play, I will. Steelers favored by 2.5. You removed DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons from a defense that kind of got run over by Baltimore, and the Saints did whatever they want. I can see Justin Fields having a lot of success.
Well, obviously,
Sunday night football.
Here's what we're seeing. We are seeing that Arthur Smith is smoothing out Justin Fields. Now, Justin's always going to have, he's bumpy. Chicago struggled to settle the plane. It was always turbulent. I do feel like in Pittsburgh, it's a smoother ride. Like, again, he had a terrible fumble, and everybody on the internet's going to crush him for it. But if you just look at the numbers, like it's like Caleb in Chicago now, he's getting more accurate every week. I'm watching Pittsburgh and Justin Fields, and I'm like, it does feel like he and the offensive coordinator have kind of devised a plan, and it kind of works for him.
You know, what I like most about Fields is they got in a 17-0 hole.
That's right.
They were getting crushed.
Could have been
I
over.
figured blowout city. Let me bet the Colts to win by 10 or whatever, which was a stupid bet. And Justin Fields fought back, and they actually had a chance late in the fourth. I was impressed by Fields. I don't think there's even discussion about Russell Wilson. Fields has been very good. Pickens, by the way, how good is he looking on the outside? If they could just figure out the running back room. I don't know if Jalen Warren's back yet. Offensive line injuries are worth watching. Yeah. But I like Pittsburgh here, Colin. Under a field goal at home? No?
Well, and also Sunday night game.
Oh, it's gonna be a scene in Pittsburgh.
Well, it was a scene in Detroit. It was a scene in New York. It was a scene in Buffalo. It was a scene in Baltimore. You get these standalone games with good teams. Pittsburgh's looks good. I think the old Arthur Smith thing is being undervalued. This is an organization that struggled with OCs for years, and Tomlin's missed on a few. I think they hit on this one. I think Arthur Smith works.
Yeah. Let's get to the next story, and this is the
goes 18 for 18. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, Detroit's got red flags everywhere. So Geno Smith had 38 first downs. He engineered 38 first downs. That's the most ever in the history of the league for a losing team. Now, maybe Geno's better than I give him credit for. He's certainly a B quarterback. He's capable, has a good arm, and he has tremendous backs, tight end, wide receiver talent. But they marched up and down the field on Detroit. And basically, Seattle was in a hole from the beginning. They were chasing him. Detroit knew they had to chase, so that's an advantage for the defense. And I look around the NFL right now, and all the good teams play pretty good defense. Minnesota does, and San Francisco does, and Baltimore does, and Buffalo does, except for Monday night, and Sunday night, and Kansas City does. And so I'm looking at all these teams that are pretty good in the NFL. Houston does, and I'm thinking, and Detroit's defense, I don't trust at all. That was a home game, a huge home Monday night football game. Seattle is not getting the whistle. DK Metcalf conversion should have counted. 2-point conversion didn't. Seattle's trailing the entire game, and Seattle's doing whatever they want offensively, like whatever they want. So that's the first thing that concerns me. Secondly, Detroit's in this transition stage. Like Dan Campbell created a tough culture and deserves respect, but he's got to transition from rah-rah guy to situationally elite guy like an Andy Reid. Because my question is, why is that game close? Why are you throwing out of the end zone with a lead late and getting a safety? You got to get past all the tough rah-rah guy stuff. You know, I understand it. Everybody loves it. Bite kneecaps. He created it. I get it. I respect it. Okay, now it's time to transition to a smarter football team. And it feels like too often when I watch Detroit, and they were so bad for so long, I understand this is tough. They're finally winning. And they're kind of giddy. The fans are giddy. The media's giddy in Detroit. Like, we're winning. Okay, that's great. Now you're consistently winning. Now it's the pivot.